Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. Every summer I feel a tremendous sense of relief when we get to Shabbos Nachamu. To some degree, Tisha B'Av is always hanging over my head in the summer, and although the summer is generally a little bit more of a relaxed time period, especially for educators, as there's no school, but there's the summer kind of before Tisha B'Av and the summer a little bit after Tisha B'Av. And I think the between Tisha B'Av, Yud Av and on before Elul is a time of year that is just a little bit more relaxed and an exciting time of year. And the question is, what really changes? We have a Nachamu. Nachamu, what's the Nachamu? Everything that we've said kinos about on Tisha B'Av and everything that we've cried about is still equally true. Rahman al-Atzlan, those tragedies are just as real after Tisha B'Av as they were before Tisha B'Av. And the Navi Yeshayahu in the Haftorah famously says, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Lokeichem. So Hashem tells the prophets to comfort the Jewish people. Dabru alev Yerushalayim v'ku eleh. Speak softly to Yerushalayim. Ki mala tzava'ah. Because literally, something has been filled. Meaning the exile has been complete. Ki nirtza avona. Its sins have been forgiven. Ki lacham yad Hashem kiflayim b'chol chatoseha. In exchange for the sins of Eretz Yisrael, for the Jewish people, there's been a double payment, namely the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, that Metzudas David explains there. And we can kind of take a sigh of relief and we can receive Nachamu, consolation in the fact that whatever punishment we deserved, we've already met, and now we can move on. So in other words, the Nachamu of Shabbos Nachamu is that yes, we deserve to be punished, but we receive the punishment, and now we can move on, because after all, long term, the goal was never to live in a state of punishment. Long term, the goal was to live in a state of one with Hashem, of Avas Hashem, of Devekus Hashem, and the punishment was much more of a cleansing process. It's a very, very deep idea to realize that punishment is only short term in this religion. Victims, obviously, will tell you how long term the effects are on certain traumatic experiences, but at least on a hashkafic level, we have to understand that when Hashem punishes us, that's only short term. Long term, the goal is just to be cleansed from the sin. And then we can then move on to live a life closer to Hashem. It's no coincidence that the Aseret HaDibros are found in this week's Parsha. And the first of the Aseret HaDibros is Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Tzesi Yicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Bebeis Avadim. The Rambam codifies this as the very first of the 613 mitzvos, to believe in God. It's a commandment. Other Rishonim disagree and say, no, it's not a formal one of the 613. Rather, it's a prerequisite. It's not formally a mitzvah. It's just something that you have to believe in order to do the other mitzvos. But the Rambam says, no, the first of the 613 mitzvos is belief in God. You have to know that there is a God. But why does the pasuk go on to say that I am God who took you out of Egypt? So clearly the exile from Egypt and the redemption from Egypt represents the ultimate perspective on Emunah. When we believe in Hashem, we have to believe in Hashem in the same vein that those who left Egypt did. There was a long, bitter exile, but it was short term. We know that it was part of a promise to Abraham, and part of the promise was taking them out of Egypt and moving on. So perhaps in this week's Parsha, we can learn from the first of the Aseret HaDibros that the same God that we believe in, yes, is the God that put us into Egypt, but also the one who took us out of Egypt. Namely, suffering is a short-term process with a larger goal, a process to cleanse us, to get us closer to Hashem, and that is the ultimate Nachamu. We know that it's okay to look back at the suffering because the suffering served its purpose, and ideally we should learn from the previous Yisurin, the tragedies that befell our people, take the message that Hashem is trying to teach us, and move on and become stronger, so we can really, really earn our punishment being over, and Hashem could look down upon us and bring the ultimate Geulah Shlema. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos.